Hi, I'm Paul Edwards, author of the Mourner's Woods books, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Today I'm reading Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue number 155 from July 1979. I thought some of you might enjoy flipping through this vintage monster magazine with me, just in case you don't own your own copy of Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue 155 from July 1979. Together, let's see what kinds of vintage monster goodness is in here. Doctor Who on the cover, so we know this is going to be a good issue. I was a Whovian back in the 70s, back when Doctor Who was not all that well known in the United States. The first Doctor I started watching was John Pertwee, Doctor number 3. This, of course, is Tom Baker, Doctor number 4. It's a fan favorite. I met him at a convention once for like 2 seconds. And it looks like we're going to get a guide to some of Doctor Who's monsters through the years, and they certainly have been a lot of them. We're also getting a preview of some unknown movie called Alien. All right, so this is July 1979, $1.50 cover price. Let's see what we get. Upcoming movie, Lord of the Rings. But it's not what you're thinking. It's not the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. It's an animated Lord of the Rings. For years, it was said that they could never make a live-action Lord of the Rings, until finally CGI made it possible. She's beautiful. She's engaged. Okay. Ooh, the Fang Mail gets a Dalek on it. Oh, look. Before the 1990s Tales from the Crypt TV series, somebody was doing makeup for the Crypt Keeper, based just on the way he appeared in the comics. All right. Let's see what we get here. Okay, so in 1979, Star Wars was all the rage, and Star Wars and its imitators were all over the place. So it's no surprise that Famous Monsters of Filmland, which usually leaned more towards horror than science fiction, it's no surprise that the magazine started leaning into science fiction in order to stay relevant. And here we have an article on Star Crash, an article on Doctor Who, an article on the Buck Rogers TV show, an article on Alien. So they're definitely trying to stay relevant with the sci-fi craze of the time. Star Crash, starring the great Caroline Munro. I read somewhere that she had her choice of roles. She could have either played a secondary Bond girl in The Spy Who Loved Me, or she could have played Ursa, one of the 3 super criminals in Superman 2. And she chose to go with the lesser Bond girl role. And I often have wondered if her career would have done better if she'd taken the Superman 2 role instead. Not that her career wasn't great, it was great, but I think she had the makings of a real superstar. And I wonder if the timing of that was the problem. Because now here she is in Star Crash, although she is playing the lead part in Star Crash. Star Crash is not half bad. It really isn't. As far as Star Wars ripoffs go, it's better than some of them. Yeah, a whole lot of these projects try to mimic the look and feel of the original Star Wars movie as much as they possibly could. Oh, now we're on to something else. Oh, the remake of The Cat and the Canary, which originally had been a silent horror film. Yikes. Oh my gosh. This is the 1927 one. Of course, we get Forrest J. Ackerman's terrible puns. Where there's a will, there's a sleigh. Yeah, I get it. All right, this is what we want anyway. The Four Faces of Doctor Who, because Tom Baker was the fourth incarnation of the Doctor. If you're watching a video like this, I assume you know this, but in case you don't, Doctor Who is a British TV science fiction character who can change his form completely when he's near death. And so a different actor can take over the role every few years. So Tom Baker was the fourth Doctor. Here he is with the Pyramids of Mars, robot mummies, a Sontaran, the Axons, which were not Tom Baker Doctor Who enemies. They were John Pertwee Doctor enemies. Oh. This is from the Android Invasion. Yikes. Stigron. I remember that guy's name, Stigron. And so here, they're also giving you episode synopsis for some of these. Like these are First Doctor adventures. Marco Polo, The Keys of Marinus, The Aztecs, the Zarbi. The Zarbi costumes really didn't stand the test of time too much as far as adult viewers go. But they were pretty far out for kids. That was a First Doctor story. This is from the Pyramids of Mars. Doctor Who versus the big wide movie screen. Okay. Even fans of the modern and classic Doctor Who don't always know this, but there were two feature films made back in the 60s based on the TV show Doctor Who. But they changed it. Peter Cushing played the Doctor in these movies, but he was a human being. He wasn't a Time Lord from another planet. He was just a human being who had invented the TARDIS and had two movies, both of which had the Daleks in them. They were loosely based on the first Dalek story and then Dalek Invasion of Earth. I should do, in one of my movie review videos, I should do one of the Doctor Who movies. People would be astonished. Oh, the Zygons. I can't believe Forrest J. Ackerman passed up the opportunity to put a terrible pun and say, let Zygons be Zygons. Come on, Forry. Step up your game. Thanks. Oh, yeah. This is from The Robots of Death. The Robots of Death was a sometimes overlooked episode. It was basically a murder mystery on board a mining ship on a mineral planet where robots were suspected of being the murderers of the crew members one by one. But was it really the robots doing it, or is there something else to it? That was a pretty good story. This is from the first Tom Baker episode, Robot. There's a lot that I like about the Tom Baker era. One thing that I didn't like about it is that they were way off in their portrayal of the Cybermen. Even the name of the Tom Baker Cyberman story, Revenge of the Cybermen, makes no sense. Cybermen wouldn't be interested in revenge. If it was Daleks, it might have been. Daleks might have been interested in revenge. Cybermen are not like that. In a way, they're creepier because they think that they're helping. They think that by converting a human being into a cyborg, that they're helping to upgrade the person. So, and if you watch the episode Revenge of the Cybermen, the Cybermen act petty, like more like a human villain would. they're out of character. So I'm not crazy about that episode. Oh, I bought these. So Doctor Who books were not on sale in American bookstores yet. So an American publisher tried to sell a few of them, mostly with the current Doctor, and I think there were 10 in the initial run, and they were big sellers. And then the British company started publishing them here. Buck Rogers. I saw the 1979 Buck Rogers movie in the theater. My dad took me. The movie was entertaining. The TV show was a little too kid oriented. Although they did have some good scenes in the series, but it just overall it just was not really great. Remember Tweaky carrying around Dr. Theopolis, the intelligent computer that looked like a frisbee? Tweaky would carry him around with a neck strap. Princess Ardala. These are from the movie. Okay, speaking of Star Wars ripoffs, Battlestar Galactica, the original old school Battlestar Galactica from 1978. Tons of merchandise for Battlestar Galactica. I love it. Mystery photo. Do you know what movie or TV show that's from? I don't recognize it. Here's the answer to last month's. Beast of the Yellow Night. I wouldn't have got that. I can't keep track of everything. When vampires die, Dracula fans sigh. Yikes. When I was a kid, I was always freaked out by scenes where the vampire got staked. I know the vampire's the bad guy and we're rooting against him. I get that. But just the stake through the heart thing, that was a little grim for me. Okay, so the upcoming movie, Alien. Alien was packaged as a science fiction movie, but really the first one was just a straight up horror movie. It just happened to be in a science fiction setting. The sequels had more, action adventure elements to them. But the first Alien, straight up horror movie. And if you are a big fan of the movie Alien, I can tip you off to the fact that there are two older science fiction movies that are very similar. Queen of Blood, sometimes released as Queen of Outer Space, and It, The Terror from Beyond Space. Those are two older science fiction movies with the same basic premise. A spaceship with human beings on it that an alien organism is on board and it's knocking off crew members one by one. They should have called for Doctor Who. He would have solved the case. I love this carcass of the dead extraterrestrial organism. I'm not saying alien because I don't want to confuse with the xenomorph alien. But this dead extraterrestrial organism, the pilot here, who, himself was a victim of the xenomorph alien long, long ago. Oh dear. Famous Monsters always made note when somebody prominent in the industry passed. Those blood-curdling bee pics. Flicks that would make a bird flick its beak. All right, now you're reaching for it. Oh, look, it's the Alligator People. You know, the Alligator People really is a halfway decent movie. But when you see a picture of the alligator person out of context like this, it's hilarious. But kudos to Beverly Garland for playing along. This monster is even funnier, though. Phantom Planet. Phantom Planet also is really not that bad of a movie. A lot of these movies really are not so bad until you see the actual monster, and then you're like, oh, never mind. You know, a movie like that, It Conquered the World. It Conquered the World is a pretty good movie until you see the alien. Ooh, rare treats. You ate great. Let's see what we're getting. Wait now. From the Star Wars special. Did he mean the notorious Star Wars Holiday Special? I did see that when it was broadcast back in the day, but I don't remember this guy. Do you? If you're a big Star Wars buff, do you recognize this? Oh. Ah, this is Sid Haig playing the villain Drago in the Saturday morning live action show Jason of Star Command. This is one of these things where if you watch it as an adult, you realize that a minor character in the thing is actually the best actor. Sid Haig is actually the best actor in the Jason of Star Command show. It's a flying monkey from The Wizard of Oz. Okay. Ooh. Mask time. Oh my gosh, that's pretty scary. Imagine wearing the Cobra mask. I had this Godzilla. Well, I still have it. It's in awful condition, but I have it. Birthday greetings. Glenda Farrell from Mystery of the Wax Museum for the win for me. As great as Basil Rathbone is, Glenda Farrell was so good in Mystery of the Wax Museum. If you've ever seen Mystery of the Wax Museum and liked her performance in it and wanted more, she played basically the same character, a wisecracking, jokey newspaper reporter, investigative journalist. She played that basic character in a series of films called Torchy Blane. Torchy Blane. I think there might have been 7 of them. So you can see more of essentially the same performance. Yeah. You know, no matter how many issues of this thing you bought, there were always more. There were always more that you still didn't have. Oh, superhero cartoon home movie. Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Submariner, Thor. Yeah. These were from the 1960s cartoon show. So you'd be sending away to get one episode of the 1960s cartoon show of one of these superheroes for $17.95. That's a lot. That's 1795 and 1979 money, too. Wow. New preformed Flexo skin. What is this, Dr. X? Synthetic flesh. Oh my gosh, that's creepy. Oh, and there is Dr. X. Well, got some good home movies here. Too bad it's not the whole movie, though. It's you know, a few minutes worth of the movie. Hopefully, the special effects shots or monster fights, but you really can't control that. You're just getting whatever pieces of the movie they decide to put on this compilation. Monster World was a sister magazine to Famous Monsters of Filmland. And here, to keep mom and dad happy, you could send away and get a couple of paperbacks so that you could say, see, I'm reading. I bet they sold a lot of the... Oh, but that's not Jaws, though. Look closer. It's Jaws 2. What movie franchise has had a more dramatic trajectory from a great original to, down through terrible sequels? I don't think I want the Jaws 2 book. Thanks. Star Wars toothbrush, iron-ons, sleeping bag, pillowcase, posters, beach towels, Darth Vader costume and mask. Ugh. I'm not sold on that. A Star Wars flying model rocket. I did have the models of these. Yep. The Land Speeder, the TIE Fighter, the X-Wing. Star Wars. Oh my gosh. They were going all in on the Star Wars goodies. Star Wars belt buckle. That's a good way to get beat up at school. Close Encounters. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that Close Encounters isn't better remembered now, considering how big a deal it was when it came out. Now, do you know what movie they're talking about here? Disney in Space. When Disney was going to make their very first PG movie, as opposed to G-rated cartoons, the movie was The Black Hole. The Black Hole. It's interesting that there's an R2-D2 toy that flies, because at the time this magazine came out, when only the first Star Wars movie had been released, R2-D2 couldn't fly. That was something they only introduced in The Phantom Menace, the prequel, Episode 1, in the late 90s. They didn't have R2 flying back in 1979. Ooh, Kaltiki. Huh. Superman. Well, Superman is perennial. I mean, there's always people that like Superman. But in 1978, there'd been a really big Superman movie out starring Christopher Reeve. So it's no surprise that Superman would be especially in the public attention at this point. some of these Superman goodies make more sense than others. Like, I can understand the Superman model, sure. And, you know, for a younger kid, you might want to sleep with Superman blankets and pillows. Okay, fine. But a Superman telephone and address book where you write your friends' names and phone numbers in? Really? Superman, the movie Blueprints? Blueprints to what? The Fortress of Solitude? I don't know. Calendar makes sense. I can understand the calendar. And the poster, of course. Oh, here's more Fang Mail. I thought the Fang Mail section was a little short in this issue. That's because they're continuing it here. These are kids who wrote in and got their picture published and their letters published. Nice. All right, if you want to order any of these things that we saw in here, now's your chance. You can print this from a screen grab. Here's your Captain Company rush order form. You better really rush it because I'm sure that these sales ended before the year was out in 1979. And according to my YouTube analytics, more than half of you weren't even born yet. So you're way behind. You really got to cut this thing out and get it in. Ooh. Yeah, now I was a big Star Wars action figure collector when I was a kid. I was 11 when Star Wars came out, so I was right in the target demographic. I had Greedo. Hammerhead was a little bit hard to find where I lived, and I was elated when we finally got it. You know, some Star Wars action figures make more sense than others. Like, okay, if you got Luke Skywalker, great. You can play with him with a Darth Vader figure and have Luke shooting his ray gun at him and stuff. What are you going to do with a Gonk Droid action figure? What does it do? It's not interactive. It just waddles around going gonk, gonk. That's not such a great action figure, I don't think. Go ahead, flame me in the comments for putting down the Gonk Droid. More Superman. Nice. Here, you really want to fight me in the comments? Here. The Golden Age of comics had a better Batman, but the Silver Age of comics had a better Superman. There. That'll stir up trouble. All right. Listen, if you enjoy vintage monsters, vintage horror, you would enjoy my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I've written a series of novels that all take place in a haunted forest. With each book, a completely new cast of characters enters Mourner's Woods, and they encounter monsters, beasts, ghosts, but the most dangerous threat is always the person who hiked here with them. Mourner's Woods, I have 6 books in print as of this video. I average about 1 a year, so there could be more by the time you're seeing this. My name again is Paul Edwards. My books are the Mourner's Woods books, available on Amazon. Thanks for spending some time looking through Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue 155 with me. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.